Prashant,
Yes, madam.
let's begin, since you've been a student of economics, let's begin by naming a few women economists. Can you do that for me?
The first name which comes to my mind is Mrs. Geeta Gopinath.
Okay.
Then Esther Duflo is there.
Okay.
Then, I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm only able to recall.
It's okay. I see that your father works in a TB hospital.
Yes.
Prashant, why do you think India has not been able to eliminate tuberculosis?
Madam, I can think about 4 or 5 different reasons which are responsible for it. One is on the social level, that is where it starts from, that TB has a social stigma associated with it, and people do not want to report it because they fear that this might bring some bad name to the family, and that's why the reporting is poor. The second reason is the infrastructure, because in the rural areas, the reporting also gets a lot of cases do not get reported because of lack of facilities which are there. Then the lifestyle which we Indians have, we live in very crowded spaces. So in that sense also it leads to further, since it's a communicable disease, so the spread of disease also keeps on going. Coming to the medical side of things or the healthcare side of things, there we see that a lot of cases are lost to follow-up. That is where they start the treatment, but their treatment does not get completed, especially in the private sector, because we see that...
Private sector or public sector? Follow-ups are an issue in private sector?
From what I have learned from my father and the TB reports, it's mostly in the private sector that a lot of patients are left. Because in the public sector, we have done really good in terms of dots and other strategies. So that is another factor which I can think about.
All right, Prashant. Prashant, if I ask you, how patriarchal are you? What would you answer to this question? Be honest.
Ma'am, I don't know how to grade how patriarchal I am, but I stand for equality in all fields of life.
Okay, since you stand for equality, I see that in your hobbies, you've written cooking as your hobby. Don't you think, Prashant, for you, cooking is a hobby, but for most of the women in our country, cooking is a responsibility?
I truly agree, ma'am, and that is the unfortunate case.
So, don't you think that women in our country don't have this luxury to make cooking their hobby?
I think it is one of the unfortunate results of patriarchy.
What would you do as an individual to change this scenario?
I would start with my home because, and that is what I have learned while growing up, that no responsibility in the family should be just be associated with certain member of the family. And while I'll try to reform my friends and family by telling them how it is, it shouldn't be seen that cooking is something which is feminine or something like that, or a responsibility of the women of the family. So that is something which I'll start from the family. Then depending upon what kind of resources I have, I will take steps for breaking this image of cooking associated with
Prashant, let me put you in a situation where you are selected and you have a batchmate who is a female. She walks up to you and she tells you that the boss looks at her very uncomfortably. It makes her uncomfortable the way your male boss looks at her. How will you handle the situation? What would be your immediate steps? What would be your steps later?
Ma'am, in this situation, first I would talk to the girl, because she would be in a very uncomfortable situation considering all of this has been directed to her. And the next steps would be towards we already have a lot of structures in official workplaces around women's safety. So I will go with her and I will help her in getting to those places. If she's uncomfortable, maybe I will try to convince her that, okay, you need not worry, it's not your fault, it's the fault of someone else who is directing it at you. And go through that process. I would support her in that process.
Prashant, my last question to you would be, if you were given a superpower, which one would that be and what would you do with it?
Something which I can think about right now would be teleportation. Maybe that will come in really handy.
And what would you do with it?
It will allow me to, maybe it will just help me be at places fast so that I can increase my productivity or something like that.
Thank you, Prashant.
Okay, Prashant. Prashant, another hobby of yours, which is very gendered otherwise, is street photography. Name a few women street photographers of our country.
So I'm not able to recall someone from the country, but outside we have a lot of street photographers, like Dina Alfasi is there, and so yes, sir, I'm not able to recall that.
If you look at the street photography, the recent changes after the advent of digital photography, especially the mobiles, is that the street photography has become quite a popular thing, considering that it is now accessible. Anybody and everybody can do it. Do you believe that it has potential to actually kill the art of street photography, because since everybody is doing it, effectively nobody is actually doing it?
Sir, to some extent I feel that way, because not just street photography, sir, because the camera has become so ubiquitous that while the photos clicked are nice, there's so much of adding of filters and everything that it is just making you realize that you are not able to capture anything. You are trying to portray whatever is there in your mind through the filter. So that way, so photography is getting affected. But the democratization of photography by giving people camera has opened up a lot of new perspectives, sir. So it has benefited from that perspective. So I would say, sir,
recently it was in Norway where it was declared that using filters without giving information that these are filtered is illegal. So if you're using a filter, you'll have to declare that it's a filtered piece. Do you believe that we too should consider that? It is a law there for influencers right now, not for everybody. But do you believe that sooner than later we should also think about it?
Sir, I wouldn't support legal clauses like that, because it will put a limit on the freedom of expression to some extent. Rather, we should be we can create a campaign that, okay, no filter or something like that, or you should announce that you are using a filter in that particular image, because there can be misrepresentation due to filters. But I wouldn't support something like that.
Well, if you are on a road and there is a fast moving object you want to capture, tell me what will be the camera technicals for that?
Sir, it's daylight.
It's daylight.
So the first thing which I will change is the shutter speed. I will take it down to 1/200 or 1/400 depending upon the speed at which the object is moving. And the second would be, sir, I would try to capture it at a lower f-stop. That is, so that the depth of field does not gets affected, because it's a moving object. So, sir, these two things are the primary changes which I will bring.
And what are the likely outputs with this? If it is, will it be a stationary shot, or you'll be actually moving your camera as well?
So if it's a daylight, sir, I don't think we need to move the camera. 1/200 or something around that should be able to capture it fairly still.
And if it is a fast moving thing?
So if it's a very fast moving thing, we'll have to maybe move the camera along with it, but that will move the rest of the subjects in the picture a lot. So
right. Fine, Prashant, it was nice talking to you. Your interview is over. You can go now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Thank you, sir.